So first thing, I just want to thank Kathy and Carol and the entire PBCers for allowing us this opportunity to speak to you. We really do appreciate being here, and over this last 2 days, we've heard a lot of great speakers, just educate about PBC in general, and also my colleagues in the pharma industry have given some wonderful presentations as well. They've been very informative. The level of engagement that I've been seeing from everybody here has just been very inspiring. It's the reason why we, all do what we do, and we really appreciate this. So, just want to start off by introducing Mirum to you. Mirum was founded only a couple of years ago, and it's been a tremendous, ride so far. It's a very, the entire company is only about 150, 160 employees. It's growing, but everybody that I've worked with is very passionate about what we're doing. We focus on rare liver disorders, and one of the things that I just wanted to kind of explain about this company, when I first interviewed a little over a year and a half ago with the company, the thing that struck me most was that just the sheer passion that everybody exhibited during my interviews. As a physician, I do believe that patient care is the most important thing, that the patients have to be the center of everything we do, and that if they get the care they need, if you guys get the care you need from everybody, then everybody wins. So this goes to the patient, this goes to the pharma company, even us as employees, it gives us the happiness that we, have to exhibit every day when we do what we do. So this motivation is what drives us, and this is why I basically came to this company a little over a year and a half ago, and it's just been an amazing time since then. So some of the things that we are working on, like I said, we focus on rare liver diseases. We have 2 assets right now. We have 2 medications right now. Livmarli, which just recently which has been approved for pediatric indications of Alagille syndrome. And I don't know if people have heard, but we just announced that we received positive CHMP approval opinion in Europe. So this leads to hopefully getting approval for Alagille syndrome in Europe as well. It's also being studied for PFIC and biliary atresia. Our second asset is Volixibat. This is the one that we're testing in adults. So we are testing that in PSC, ICP, and what you guys have is PBC. And it's a really exciting time for us here. So this is just an example of Livmarli that we just, as I mentioned, just got approved here in the United States. And as we look to advance our Volixibat program, these studies from Livmarli serve as some of a proof of concept of how IBAT inhibition can actually benefit cholestatic diseases. So, going on into the actual programs to talk about the Volixibat potential. So of course I have to give the standard disclaimer, we are a pharma company. This is, this is not to be construed as medical advice. You really need to get that from your own doctor, but just have to put this up there. So I just had the opportunity to actually meet Gail a little bit right just this morning, but from the PBC Society in Canada. But this is a quote that we've seen from some of our videos, what we've seen from the Canadian Society webpage. Yep, give a shout out to Gail for that. But this quote really was something that struck me as one of the reasons why we need to do what we are doing right now, why we have to go beyond just addressing, numbers, but we have to really look at the quality of life for the patients and see what we can do to actually improve some of those symptoms. So I'm not here to talk to you about itch, or describe it. You guys know better than me what you're dealing with. But I do want to ask you guys, for a show of hands, how many of you have pruritus or have ever had pruritus? Wow. So it's quite a considerable amount of you right here. And I know Cynthia is going to be talking about pruritus a little bit later. So, this is going to be very informative then. So I'm going to talk to you about our mechanism of action and how we think it works. So, I'm going to touch on how IBAT inhibition works. Now, bile acids are typically synthesized in the liver and stored in the gallbladder. You all know that. They get secreted into the small intestine and basically travel through. They get reabsorbed at the end of the small intestine and go back into the circulation. Now, we do think that some of these bile acids, when they collect in the cholestatic indications, they basically start, they are pruritogens, and they can lead to some of the itch. So our goal is to actually reduce that level of circulating bile acids. And the way we do that is there's this ASBT receptor at the end of the small intestine that really serves as a gateway for active reabsorption of the bile acids. Our molecule basically binds to that and prevents the reabsorption of the excess amount of bile acids and just increases that overall excretion. And it makes things, and basically lowers the level of the bile acids, and hopefully that will improve the itch. And that's what we're testing here. So we have seen in some of our, like I said, Livmarli, the one that just got approved for pediatric indication, is also an IBAT inhibitor. Slightly different molecule. It's an oral suspension rather than it's a liquid rather than a molecule, than a pill. And we're studying that in pediatrics, but in those studies, we have seen that it really does reduce the overall pruritus level in those patients significantly. And so that served as our proof of concept. And there's also many other studies out there that showed that this IBAT inhibition might be a really viable way to make this happen. Volixibat as a drug is pretty potent, we think. We think there will be a very good molecule medication to help reduce this bile acid levels. And it's not absorbed in any level. So really, it hits that receptor and then gets excreted out. So there's very low systemic absorption as a molecule. So we really believe it's going to be a very safe molecule as well. So going on to our study, our actual study design. So this is a phase 2b study. It's a double-blind study. We're evaluating the effects of Volixibat to treat cholestatic pruritus in PBC. It's being conducted in 3 parts. The first part is really our dose. We're really testing the dose. So against placebo. So we have 2 doses, 80 milligrams and 20 milligrams, that we're testing around against placebo. Once we finish that part, we're going to be going into our interim analysis, and we'll select a dose, and then we go into our part 2, where we're going to be actually confirming that dose is the correct one. Finally, we have our long-term extension part of the study, where every patient that did pass the double-blind period will be allowed to enroll into the study for about 2 years, at least 2 years, and will be put on active drug. And we will basically, patients will have that opportunity to continue the medication until hopefully we get approval. Our primary endpoint is really looking at the pruritus level, so it's slightly different than a lot of trials that you see, in the sense that we are focusing on the quality of life for you guys. We are looking at that pruritus, endpoint as our primary endpoint. We are looking at additional quality of life metrics such as, we're evaluating your fatigue levels as well as your sleep disturbance levels. We are looking at biochemical markers as well, so we are looking to make sure that everything stays, works well for like your ALP, your biochemical liver markers, and we are looking at potentially we are evaluating some of the biomarkers that you may have heard of that are coming up. Hopefully that will take the place, those will be very good surrogates for telling overall liver health in the future. Our key inclusion and exclusion criteria, basically you have to have PBC, you have to be itchy. It doesn't work to have the primary endpoint for someone that doesn't itch. We will also be looking at, we're not having any ALP cutoff levels. There's no need for a biopsy. The only thing we're excluding are patients that don't have PBC, or patients that have other liver conditions, patients that are decompensated, or really advanced cirrhosis. But that's kind of how we have to design the trial. So that's kind of like our study design overall. We are hopeful that we will be able to finish the study in a couple of years. And if you have more questions about it or want to talk to us, we have QR codes and we have our booth in the back. We're happy to talk to you about that, the study in more details. And, we are really excited about this. Some of the things that we did take in mind when we were designing the study, we did try to listen to all of you guys. We've been very much in touch with the PBCers, with the PBC Foundation in UK. We've been talking to heads, just trying to make sure that we capture that patient voice in our study design. And we are trying hard to make sure that we incorporate and make it as easy as possible participate, including things like making sure that the travel is compensated, that you're not having to pay for that out of pocket. We're trying to make more visits remote, so that that we realize that you guys are busy and you have daily life. So wherever possible, we're trying to make some of those visits remote so that you can just get on with your life. And we are really trying to make sure that whatever else we can do to make this easy, we are working on towards that. So with that, that's kind of like the end of my presentation. And if there's any questions, you can come see me, or we can talk about this later. With that, I want to just thank everybody for your time, and we're really excited to be working with you guys.
Great, thank you, Srikar.